Okay, hi, Ted Delaplane from the Severn River Association and the Marylanders Grow Oysters program. I wanted to do a quick demonstration about how to take care of your oysters this time of year. I want to demonstrate tea bagging the oysters and rolling the oysters and hosing the oysters off. Don't have to do this all as frequently, especially as it gets colder, but this time of year I would do it every 10 days, every 2 weeks. So I'll start by pulling up one of the oyster cages. This one probably has more than most people's cages. I have some leftovers. Anyway, so the tea bagging is pretty simple. You just pull it out of the water. You see the oysters are pretty dirty, pretty muddy at this point, or got a lot of kind of scum on them. So I'm just going to drop them in the water. And you can see you get quite a bit of mud or silt that just kind of flows off these oysters. So you do that 3 or 4 times. And they look a little bit better. The higher you drop them, kind of the more bang for the buck. Let me just give them one more good. Okay. Now, occasionally, something else you need to do in the growing season, which is now, but more so probably in the spring, is roll the cages around a little bit. This keeps the oysters from sticking to the cages. And that's the what we call the rolling or rattling. Some people go as far as hosing off their oysters. I really don't do this myself very much because I think the tea bagging works pretty well. But feel free if you want to occasionally knock the dust off this way. This might be easier for people that have a hard time doing the tea bagging, but that works pretty well. Now, actually, it looks like we have some incredible growth here already. I'm really surprised. The spat, I guess let me pull a shell out. I don't have one of the better cages. I kind of passed off the better ones. Oh, here's an excellent example. This shell is covered in spat. Spat are these circular things, and these have grown in incredible amounts since we got the spat just a few weeks ago. So that's basically the method that we use to take care of our oysters. This time of year, my oysters are still pretty high up in the water column. I'm going to put these back in. Todd, you can step over here for a second. What I've done with mine is I've just put a big knot. I just put a big knot in my oyster line so that the oysters themselves, I guess we're having a fairly high tide, but the oysters themselves, they're supposed to be, below the low water mark so below when the tide goes out, it's still below water, but it's still fairly high up in the water column. And in the winter time, I'll just take this knot off the pier and drop them down. You don't want them sitting on the bottom, so you have to measure this out a little bit. But the key is in the winter time, you want the oysters to still be below water when we have a blowout tide, but not sitting on the bottom. We don't want them sitting on the mud in the bottom. The reason that we want them still high up in the water column when it's warm out like this is because they grow faster. There's more nutrients, there's more oxygen in the water. Anyway, I think pretty much that's it. And thanks everybody for volunteering with the MGO program. And for those of you who support the Severn River Association, thank you for that as well.